Couple of things. I'd like you guys to grab either your phone or your computer and log into PowerSchool, please. So grab your phone or your computer and log into PowerSchool. Check your earth science grade.
That's what.
What?
Chicken butt.
Should have known that. Guess who, Phoenix?
Chicken food.
Guess what? No, guess how?
Why?
No, guess why? Yeah, guess why?
Chicken pie.
Chicken pot pie is what we say, but either way. Are you guys all into PowerSchool?
Yep.
Yeah. Grab your earth science. Click on your earth science grade.
Yeah.
That should be 5 weeks and today. 5-week report going out shortly. That should be your 5-week grade. One thing I want to, I will scroll through. See if there's anything you are like, what's this? Why is that a 0? Did I screw up anywhere? Did I put a 1 instead of a 10 for a homework assignment? Check that stuff. Anything that you find disagreeable, like I swear you did this, but I put in a 0. Yep, what's it? Let's take a look, grab it. So what do I have it written down? So Olivia. Yep, so I had that you were absent, you never showed it to me. I will say that this is gonna be this will be the one and only time where I give you this still early, first 5 weeks. From now on, it is due the day you get back or the day after you get back. If it was homework due that day. You guys don't get endless amounts of time to show me the work that you didn't show me when you were absent. So this will stay a 0 after today or going on from now on. Is it done? Okay, so make sure you show me the day after you're absent. Anybody else? 13 and 15. Yes, and this is your first day back. So you should notice yours wasn't a 0. So that's why. What are you doing?
Some stuff.
So make sure that you get your homework done when you're absent. Like I just said, when you're absent, if you were absent, that 14 and 15 was due. Now I don't even remember that 14 and 15 was due on the 4th, which was Wednesday. That means if you were absent on Wednesday, it was due Thursday. If you were absent on Tuesday and you came back Wednesday, I would have expected to see it Thursday. So I just gave some of you a couple extra days to do it. I'm not going to do that from now on. You have to show it to me right away. One more thing I want you to do in PowerSchool. So sorry, go back to PowerSchool. The last grade that's entered should say lab, which some of you, I have it for lab, some of you have Mr. Miga, some of you have Mr. Winters. Can you back out of earth science and go find your earth science lab grade and see if those match up? Sam, yours might not match up because I just graded yours. Phoenix, did you say no?
No, I don't remember that.
Yours doesn't match up?
No.
What's yours say? No. No.
You gotta back out.
In class. So that the lab grade should be 88. Anybody? So Sam, I just graded your latitude and longitude. That's why yours don't match up. Anybody else who just turned in their latitude and longitude lab, so Landon, yours might not match up. Everybody else's should. Especially double check, especially if you have Mr. Miga or Mr. Winters, because there's 2 steps involved with them handing me your labs and then me putting them in the grade book. All right, so everybody's good with their grades? As for comments that'll show up on your 5-week reports, I only do, first of all, for 5 weeks, I only do negative comments. Sorry, everyone. Here, and they're not, here's what the rule is. If your homework average is below an 80, so which means you've only done 80% or less of your homework. Because remember, I only grade on whether you do it or not. So I'm not telling you, hey, you're a bad kid, you're a bad student, you got a bad grade. That's not what I'm telling your parents. I'm saying they've only done their homework 80% of the time, and that's baloney. I don't give that much homework. Do your homework. And then the only other thing is if your test average is below a 65, so meaning you failed the one test we took, I will put on there should take advantage of test corrections. Again, not saying, hey, your kid got a bad grade on their test. I'm saying they did not take advantage of fixing that. So really, I'm only telling your parents if you're being lazy, not if you're just flat out getting bad grades. So that's what you can expect on your 5 weeks. Anybody have any questions on the 5-week grades that are coming out? All right, then let's whip out those page 24s. We got to keep going. All right. You're ready, huh? All right, we're going to actually do some interesting things today that you've never done before, and I'm kind of excited about it. But so is Drake.
Yeah.
However, we do have 2 vocab words to knock out that we should have done last time, but I must have been in a hurry to finish, yes, on Friday. This should be the last thing that we took notes on, maps.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to be doing a special kind of these maps that so wait, going back. So remember I was talking about how we're going to have these maps with lines all over them? I don't think I told you what I call them yet. What do these maps with lines do? What do the lines connect? We already wrote these. ISO lines connect.
Points of equal value.
Points of equal value. So we're really connecting a bunch of points. And these points that we're connecting reminds me of connect the dots. How do you do connect the dots? 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the end, what do you get?
Some shape.
Some picture. So you're sitting in Olive Garden, you get a kid's menu, although you guys are all too old for kid menus now, right? No, they're still the best, right? So you're sitting in Olive Garden or Red Robin, you do connect the dots, you get a really cool picture of a cat, right? Yeah, okay. Well, that's not what we're doing, but it's similar. I call it connect the dots for slightly older kids. Okay, you're not kids menu material anymore. Now you're that slightly older kid. Yeah, maybe. So these maps are going to be maps with a whole bunch of dots on them that we're connecting. One type of those is called a contour map. Has anyone ever heard of a contour map before? Okay, how about this? Anybody heard of contour before? Sienna, what are you thinking? Makeup. And what does contouring do when you put the when you contour your face? What's it do? Okay, and what's it mean? Like, so if you put them on, I clearly don't. Where do you put it? Right here. Maybe it's right here. What are those spots? What will those shadows create? To make your cheekbones pop? Make your nose look the way you want it to, maybe? So you use contour on your face to show the places you want to pop, the places you want to be taller, really. And that's kind of what these maps are too. They're maps that show elevation. So a contour map is a map that shows elevation. So you can see where the high peaks of the mountain are, or the low valleys, or where the flat plains are. You may have seen these before. If you haven't, that's fine. I'm going to treat it today like no one's ever seen them. So contour lines, which is the next vocab word, is a type of an isoline. So a contour line, just like an isobar or an isotherm, connects areas of equal. Today we're doing elevation. So next vocab word. Contour lines connect equal elevation or altitude. So this, you should all be writing this vocab word down now. You actually have one of these maps in the top right corner of your notes you're writing in right now. That's a contour map. It is a map that's showing the elevation of a certain area, and you might be able to see where there's a mountain or where there's a valley. What you need to do this year is be able to draw these maps, read these maps, and then answer questions about these maps. So we're going to take it bit by bit. The first thing you do need to know is the second vocab word that's up here, a contour interval. Do you guys know what an interval is? It's a number. Any more like specific what an interval is? It's in between, yeah. So like you're in this case, a contour interval, you have one line and then you have another line. The contour interval is what's the difference in elevation in this case. So it's just really what the lines are counting by. Are they going up by ones? Are they going up by tens or fives or 500s? So I'm going to show you an example of one of these maps. So here is a mountain. Actually, here's three little mountains. These three little mountains, Phoenix, you looking? So these three little mountains, what I was kind of saying somebody did is they all went to all the places that were 0 feet above sea level. And it was like somebody took paint on the side of the mountain that was 0 feet above sea level and drew a line. And they went around the whole mountain drawing that 0 line. And then this person chose to go, the next line they were going to do is 500. So they went to the 500 on the mountain. Everywhere that was 500 meters above sea level, they drew a line. And then the same thing with 1,000, 1,500, and so on. So they basically painted around this mountain at the same elevation all the way around. I have an example kind of like that here, and it might be a little bit hard to see. So you guys can see the sides of this mountain. What they did is they painted in different colors around this mountain. Now, can you guys use your imagination and pretend you're in a drone hovering above the one on my board there? What would those lines end up looking like if you were in a drone looking down at these painted marks on the mountain? Yeah, not perfect circles probably, but yeah. Would it look, are you picturing something like this in your head? So you can see that here's that 0 line all the way around. Then the 500, then the 1,000, all the way up to the 3,500. Why did they choose to go up by 500s and not, let's say, like ones? What would this look like if they drew a line every 1 foot? It would be all red. It'd be, even if they did by tens, what would it look like? Majority, it'd be chaos, really. There would be 50 lines in between the 0 and the 500 instead of just that 1. So that's why they don't go up by ones. We don't ever go and do every single number. It would just be mass chaos, or in the end, it would look all red or mostly red. So this is what we're going to be learning how to do. Connecting all the areas of equal elevation or equal temperature or equal pressure. So the first thing you're going to need to do is learn the rules. It's not as simple as regular connect the dots at Olive Garden. So there's rules for drawing these. I'm not sure if they're really more rules or steps, if you want to think of them that way. But see how it says drawing ISO lines down below? That's where we're going to be filling in. The first rule or the first step. So here's number 1. I already have the word ISO line there for you. So right after the word ISO line, they connect points of equal value. Connect points of equal value. That's rule number 1. So that should be repeating what we already did on Friday. ISO lines connect points of equal value. So in this map, I'm going to, and this, I know it doesn't really look like a map, but I'm going to choose to connect all the tens. So I draw a line just connecting the tens, nothing else. Step 2, ISO lines are gentle curving lines, no sharp corners. So that one's number 2. Think about it. If you connected your connect the dots at Olive Garden with straight lines, how would your cat turn out? Weird. Somebody described it more like a robot cat last class. So you want to use these gentle curving lines so that your picture comes out looking a little more realistic. So that was step 2. You should have that one written in. So again, not like I connected them up here. You would like more flowy, more gentle lines. They just end up looking a little more realistic then. Step 3, and you guys kind of noticed this step when we were talking about it a minute ago. So like isolines are always closed curves, even though the map might only show part of it. And I'll show you exactly what I mean once you write it. Can I actually change that word? I don't like the word curves. They are closed loops. I really would want to say circles, but they're not perfect circles. And I'll show you what I mean. Remember how on Friday I mentioned that, and this was up with where the notes are for maps, that even though the map ends, the world does not end. So what I mean here, here's the example. This might be the whole mountain here. So you can see that the 0 line would have gone all the way around the mountain. And then the 500, and then the 1,000 line. Well, they didn't want to map that big. So they only focused on this part. So see how these close off and connect somewhere off the map? They have to connect somewhere, but if our map ends, then our lines have to just end at the edge of the map. So once we're drawing these, really the rule is they either connect up and close the loop, or they go from one edge to another edge. They end at the edge. You do not connect them or leave them hanging if they don't make a loop. And again, I'll show you what that means once we get started. Number 4, the rule is, and this one's probably really important, isolines never cross. Because if they did cross, this would mean that one point would have 2 different values. Like in my example here, where the red 30 is crossing the white 40, that means right where they cross is both 30 degrees and 40 degrees. It can't be 2 temperatures at once. Might be 30 now and 40 later. But when this map was made, it can only be one or the other. It can't be both. So when you're drawing these, if they ever cross over each other, that is your automatic red flag that you're wrong. All right, everybody got this one? We got one more rule after this. Couple people still writing. I'll give you time to finish up. If I ever go too fast, make sure you let me or Mr. D know. We'll catch up, or I'll just wait like I just did. Number 5, this one's one of my favorites. And it says isolines are usually parallel, or at least have a parallel trend. Or like I like to call them, they're usually parallel-ish. So rule number 5 is they are parallel or parallel-ish. What it means is once you've got one line drawn, so if I already have this top one drawn, see how it goes up and then down and then back up again? I know the next line is also going to go up and then back down. And again, the next one goes up and then back down. So if you have one drawn, the rest of them should be a little bit easier because they tend to follow the same path, up and then down, or over and then out, whatever. Whatever one does, the other ones will do something similar. They're not perfectly parallel. You can kind of see that these lines might not be perfectly parallel, but they're parallel-ish. You ready to try this out?
Yeah.
Now, I did leave room for one more word at the end. We're going to skip that for now. We're going to go right to page 26, which some of you might see that we're already on your homework. What I would like to ask of you is for the next 10-ish minutes to stay with me. Do not get ahead, even if you think you know what you're doing. Stick with me for the next 10 minutes, and then after that 10 minutes, you'll have time to move on, okay? So we are on page 26. It should look like this. So making a contour map 1. Now, I don't know, for some reason I chose to put the directions down at the bottom, but again, make sure you read all the words. So the first thing it does say is assume the data was measured at the center of each number. Meaning, anytime you do these maps for real, there will be a dot. Today, I would like you to pretend that dot is in the dead smack center of the number. That's the first thing. Then it says to highlight all the data points with the same value in pencil. I actually had to get a highlighter. So we'll change that from in pencil to in highlighter. And then connect the dots with a smooth curve. So we're going to just basically be following those rules and doing connect the dots for slightly older kids right now. Here's where I recommend, if you have a pencil, use it. If you don't have a pencil, get your butt up here and get one, because this is a very easy spot to make a very quick mistake that will change your answers. So if you don't have a pencil, grab one. So where should we start? There is a hint on here as where to start.
The center.
No, not the center. Top left corner, no, that's not it. What number do we start with?
0.
Why'd you say 0? 0 is a good place to start. What would the next number we'd be looking for be? Nope. No. Why'd you say 10? Why? See how it says contour interval? We just took those notes. Everybody flip back. What's a contour interval? The number in between, and then I had you say something else too. I should have at least. Let's see if I did. Here's those notes. Contour interval. Oh, it's the difference in elevation between two contour lines, or in other words, it's what they count by. So what do I mean? Right here, contour interval. I want you to label that. What the lines count by. So in other words, Phoenix was right. We would have started with 0. What would the next line be? 10. Keep going. I'll tell you, this map ends at 90. So take a look. Are there any zeros? Anybody see any zeros? Drake says no. So there's no zeros. Anybody see any 10s? Nope. Anybody see any 20s on this map? Nope. Any 30s? Nope. Any 40s? What number are we looking for when we're looking for 40s? Yeah, 40. 40s. Are there any 40s up there?
No.
There are not. Do I care about 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49? I don't. When the contour interval says count by 10s, those are the only numbers I care about. So there is still no 40s. Are there any 50s? Yes. So here's where I want you to grab your highlighter. You're going fishing right now for 50s. So take your highlighter and highlight any 50s. Not 51, not 52, only 50. Feel like there were 9. I might be wrong. Yeah, I found 9. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe there was even more. There's at least 9. Yeah, we got 9 last period. If you can't find them, here's mine. If you want to use mine kind of as a guide. Once you have all 9 of them highlighted, cover up your highlighter and put it down and don't touch it again because I want you to use pencil now. In theory, what would happen is you're going to make a mistake and it's going to be all messy. And I don't want this example to be messy at all. So grab your pencil. Now we need to connect these 950s. But remember, what was the first rule? Go back and read the first rule. We just wrote them a few minutes ago. What's the first rule? So they connect points of equal value. The thing is, though, what that means is everywhere on that line is 50. So wherever you put a line, you're implying that there is a 50 on that line. So you can't put a line where a 50 doesn't belong. So here's what I mean. I need to get from this 50 to this 50. I'm just picking some random spot. There's a couple ways I could go. I could go from here over here or here. Which one of those lines is where a 50 belongs? The middle one. This is the one where a 50 belongs. What do I mean by a 50 belongs? Here's 49, there's a 53. Does 50 go in between 49 and 53? Yeah, 49, 50. If I had gone up here, does a 50 belong between 48 and 49? No, it doesn't go 48, 50, 49. That's not counting. So that can't be true. Also, let's look down here. Does a 50 belong in between 53 and 58? No. So remember how I said it's kind of like fishing? I said we're going fishing for 50s. You could also think of this line as a net or a fence. See how this fence separates anything that's in the 40s from anything that's in the 50s. We don't want 40s socializing with 50s. We need to block them off. So that's what your line is going to be like. It's going to be a line that says anybody lower than 50 on one side, anybody higher than 50 on another. So since we got these two connected, let's just start here and keep going. So how will I get from this 50 to that 50 safely? This is kind of a trick question. They're right next to each other. There's only one way. But now what? I'm on the edge of a map. Okay, so we got to go down and around almost. See if there's a place where this net is going to come back in. So start looking through this. Look for where a 50 belongs. So if I'm here, where is my fence going to come back in? Where does another 50 belong? Way down here in the bottom. Here's a 51, there's a 48. 50 belongs in between those two numbers. But wait. So a lot of you wanted to go do this, right? Yeah. Do we know what's going on over here? We don't. There could be a bunch of 55s right here, and it could go all the way across the map. It could be right next door, like you said, or there might be a bunch of numbers here. So whatever happens off the map has to stay off the map. What I mean by that is no line over here. You don't know what's going on over here, so you don't get to draw a line. You just look for where the line comes back in. So here's where 50 belongs, and we need to get over to this 50. Again, thinking of it as a net or a fence that's going to separate everybody. So here's a 51 and a 48. We need to separate them. Here's a 51 and a 49. They can't be hanging out with each other, so I separate them up. Now where do I go? Do I keep going straight across? No, what's wrong with that one, Olivia? I got to go up. Good. Because I can't put a fence between 49 and 45. They're good. No 50s belong there. Now what? Go up even more. I got to go up and around that 48. See if you guys can make that line keep going all the way to the edge at that 50. Whoa. Is there a 50 in the standard? No, can't just draw lines. Gotta make sure you go slow drawing and connecting these lines up. So, hang on. Olivia just asked me, does this look right? Here's what I want you to do. Once you have your line drawn, check it yourself. Check right above it. Are all these numbers bigger than 50? And are all the lines below it less than 50? You can check your own work by seeing, is this a fence separating the 40s from the 50s? See where you can come back in. Everything down here, and everything up here. So everything down here less than 50? Everything up here greater than 50? Looks like it. See if you can figure out how to finish up this map. Well, this one, and then you that. So again, I asked you guys to go and connect that to the edge, so you should have had something. Something like that. Again, everything down here is less than 50. Everything up here is greater than 50. Now see where you bring it back into the map. We're at the edge. You got to connect it up to those other ones somehow. So the only thing is that we just got to come in the edge of the map. So one, go ahead and check it. You're confused. Okay. So we got to keep going. So you're pretty good. You're 50. Everything in last one. Yeah. Oh, but okay. So this is what you need to do, except you can't draw that line up here. So you couldn't draw it right here. So you know there would be a 50 here, and then where?
Oh, and then like right here.
Yeah. No, you can't put a 50 there. So you were right by saying you wanted to go up, you just can't draw that. So it stops here and then comes back in over here. Everything up here is below 50. Below 50. Everything in here should be about 50. Where do you at? Okay, let me finish up 50s and then I'll say for everybody. All right, so with the 50, I had asked you guys, so you had to get from here up to here, which means somewhere out here they're connected. You just can't draw that line. So I know I start here and go back up. Again, everything over here is less than 50. Everything over here is greater, but now I've reached the edge of the map. So that means that it now ends and starts back up somewhere else. So here is where a 50 would belong, between the 49 and the 51 again. It is very, so actually a whole bunch of people had it look like this, where they just connected those and left it. This is one of those things, remember where I said they have to be closed loops or go to the edge of the map. You can never leave a number hanging like this. So it either has to be connected to the edge of the map or to somebody else. So that means I got to go back up through here and off to the edge of the map. Again, everything on the outside of the line is less than 50. Everything on the inside is greater. So now you're going to start with the 60s, and a whole bunch of you already did this. You started highlighting. I feel like there was 13 of these. Allison, no, she didn't. It was Brooklyn asked, why can I not get that right? Brooklyn asked, where do I start? And the answer is wherever the heck you want to start. So I tend to start where there's like an obvious, like right here, there's 3 that connect. You really can't screw that up. So start wherever you want, but I do like to start where it's pretty easy. There should be 13 60s. Now, what happens if you miss one when you're highlighting them? Is all is lost and you're screwed for the rest of the map? No, what's going to happen when you're connecting them and you realize you skipped one? Yet you'll probably find it along the way because you're looking for numbers bigger than or less than 60. And if you have one that's equal to 60, you should be catching it with your line. So here's where I'm going to say I'm done with you. We ended up only having about 5 minutes left. Your job is to finish this. So you should have a line for the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'll give you a hint that 90s and 80s are a little confusing, but it might be a good hint to remember that this is a mountain. And actually you could skip the 90 line and just go to 80. Nah. Because there is only one 90. Can't really connect them up if there's only one, but I'll show you what to do with that tomorrow. So you need to do the 50, 60, 70, and 80 lines for homework. I'll be checking this tomorrow to make sure you've finished it.